WikiLeaks is never far from controversy. Its founder, Julian Assange, he has been holed up in the Ecuadorian embassy in London for 4 years now. He was granted asylum to avoid extradition to Sweden in connection with rape allegations. And the U.S. also isn't too thrilled with Mr. Assange. The Army has investigated WikiLeaks for its role in leaking classified info about the military and the State Department. Now, those 700,000 government files were given to WikiLeaks by Private First Class Bradley Manning. Manning, he was court-martialed, convicted, and sentenced to 35 years in prison. Now, that massive leak put WikiLeaks on the map, and since then, it has released other controversial things, including, most recently, Democratic National Committee's emails. Proved embarrassing for the party, as they were released during the convention, and some of them showed that the DNC was poking fun at Bernie Sanders and apparently favoring Hillary Clinton. Here's where Hillary enters the story. She has been crossing paths with Assange for years. Some of the emails that WikiLeaks released several years ago proved embarrassing to the State Department while she was the sitting secretary. And it appears he is not done digging for dirt on her. In an interview with The Times, Assange had the following to say about the former Secretary of State. Quote, "The American liberal press, in falling over themselves to defend Hillary Clinton, are erecting a demon that is going to put nooses around everyone's necks as soon as she wins the election, which is almost certainly what she is going to do." And today, The Times published an exhaustive piece about WikiLeaks and its connections to Russia. You'll remember the U.S. government believes that the Russians obtained those DNC materials. And don't forget that a couple months ago, none other than Donald Trump asked Russia to hack into Hillary Clinton's emails. I'm not saying all of it's connected, but surely it is interesting, and it sure puts WikiLeaks right into the middle of a lot of U.S. politics. How dangerous does not just the administration, but our security apparatus consider WikiLeaks to be, and do we have, what was the general consensus in Washington, if there was one, as to the motivations?
Well, it's hard to read the mind of traitors, and in my mind, Julian Assange is a traitor. He revealed secrets that damaged our national security. I understand why someone could be opposed to the policy of one administration or another, vehemently opposed, but in my mind, there are lots of other ways to address that, protest it, and make it difficult for the government to continue that bad activity. What's most concerning to our national security group is that Russia is continuing its efforts to have an influence on our national elections, whether it would be hacking our polling stations, or whether it would be planting disinformation stories, altering emails that Hillary wrote, changing the words in those emails, and then releasing those altered emails to give the impression that Hillary said something, wrote something she actually never did.
In the portrayal, certainly if you go into the Times, and I suggest everybody does, it's exhaustive but a fascinating piece, is that Assange, well, maybe some people had initially a different opinion of him, certainly seems that somebody who likes to start trouble whenever he can.
He's wacky.
Yes, but more than that, he's either a dupe or he's complicit with some of the Russian interests right now, which is different than we thought 4 years ago.
Certainly possible. And I don't want to change the subject of the debate, but you know, finding out about the National Security Administration's massive spying on the American people was a good thing, wasn't it?
Well, people knew about it, but in the context of doing that, he did a lot of damage to our legitimate national security operations. But I agree with you, Richard, revealing and talking openly about excesses of the NSA spying. But by the way, after 9/11, the American people desperately were willing to give up some privacy to prevent another 9/11.
The point I was making was that these judgments about Assange and his relationships maybe with Putin's people, you know, they're serious, they're real, they're disturbing. This is a complex and complicated phenomenon, and the transparency movement has something in it for ordinary citizens of countries around the world. So yeah, he's a little bit wacky. Yeah, there's a danger that he's tilting instead of just revealing. But I you know, historically, it's like you're calling the Pentagon Papers people traitors. Now, in some sense, they broke the law, and that's serious stuff. In another sense, they corrected a historical wrong, and that matters.
I wouldn't say, I think the Pentagon Papers folks served a purpose. They also served some jail time, which was appropriate.
Really?
And if you're willing to commit an act of civil disobedience and break the law because you think it's important, then you go to jail. But there's a big difference. There's a big difference between the Pentagon Papers and what Julian Assange did.
And I respected what those folks did, at least in that they were willing to face the music for their actions because they believed it was right. I've always been troubled about Assange and about others, Snowden, etc., who they are the basically imprimaturs as to where the line starts and stops. They get to decide which national security interest that they want to reveal or not.
And he ran away and got asylum in Russia.
And by the way, he's facing rape charges.
He ran away and got asylum in Russia rather than face the music at home.
Congressman, no, he didn't. That was Edward Snowden. Edward Snowden's the one who actually released that information. He's the one who's in asylum in Russia.
Assange?
Julian
Is
Assange,
he in America?
No, Julian Assange is holed up in the Ecuadorian embassy. He's not an American citizen.
He's an Australian.
He did not hack. He simply, his site posts material that has been hacked
That
before.
was illegal.
Some of it,
so he should have faced the music here.
Some of it for good and some of it for not. Look, he has a grudge against Hillary Clinton and he has a grudge against Barack Obama. That's not disputed. He freely admits that. So in terms of the timing of the release of the DNC stuff, that it came out, the stuff that cost Debbie Wasserman Schultz her job, that was specifically timed by WikiLeaks to coincide with the Democratic Convention. If he's got more dirt on Hillary Clinton, no doubt he's going to release it, probably in October, probably trying to do a lot of damage to her. But if he gets dumped stuff about Donald Trump, I suspect it would appear on WikiLeaks.
Well, wait, 1 second, Andrew. If you put credibility in the Times piece, okay, he certainly is playing, in his mind, he has an agenda at play. And it's not just free and open and put everything out there. He has political grudges that he is going to tend to right now. He's going to impact potentially our presidential election. This is a guy who is holed up in a place to avoid rape charges and also to face the music for what he did. He's a guy who likes to start fires and laugh as they burn. So I take issue with anyone who calls this guy a hero. I think traitor's more appropriate, but more importantly, we now have questions, Dom, about his motivations. And also, beyond that he doesn't like two political characters, a lot of people don't like political characters, they write editorials or whatever. Now he's using national security, and now also there could be another foreign state involved, potentially. I don't know. This is very damning for me, and for me, I think we're going to see more of this kind of things to come here as it relates to hacking and foreign states all of a sudden getting involved, in this case, with American politics.
But no matter how we look at this, we can debate to not debate, to agree to disagree on motives of this man and what country he's from and so on. But here's the bottom line. What he's doing, Richard, is a disaster for Hillary Clinton. Because at an October surprise, which will only reaffirm that she had her own network up and running, and that possibly the reason why she was hacked is because it wasn't the State Department computers, and her home network could cost her election. Remember I said this here, Richard, tonight. Hillary Clinton has to find a way to step up her game. She's not looking too good lately.
I hear you. The other part of it, and Steve touched on this, which was there's possibility that it's not just hacked messages that'll come out, but there could have been, they could be adulterated here. We don't even know when things are leaked if they are in fact the actual emails. Forget about not having context. They could have been manipulated. That's all going to come out, I think, in the next 2 months. So, hold on tight. All right, coming up next, Anthony Weiner's wife has left him. Now the city investigating him for taking a half-nude pic with his 4-year-old son. We have got the latest on the Weiner front.